Filipinos are actually taking note. Kumbaga, hindi bingi-bingihan at bulog-bulagan lahat because lumalabas din that mataas ang suporta ng public no sa approach ng Marcos administration na maging mas aggressive sa West Philippine Sea, pero hindi sila precisely pabor no na puro violence lang at gulo ang nagyayari. Gusto nila meron ding diplomacy track. Can you tell us more about this insight? Kasi ang lumalabas parang nasa Class D and Class E yung mga nagbigay ng ganyang grade o punto. What can you tell us about that?
Okay, interesting. Although we don't have data shown to the public here, no? But we asked everyday Filipinos, no, our kababayans, if you were given a list of measures to prioritize, what would you what do you think should government prioritize to resolve the conflict in the West Philippine Sea? And the top three are: number one, 7 out of 10 Filipinos say we should assert our rights in the West Philippine Sea. That's an important point. Assert our rights in the West Philippine Sea by expanding naval patrols and troop deployment in the area. We're already doing that. Number two, we should obviously have a dual track, not just of expanding our military presence in the area, but also ensuring that we utilize all diplomatic and peaceful means to resolve the conflict. That's at 70%, no? 72%, yeah. And third, the top three kasi yan, the third is to modernize the armed forces, which also explains, because the government is doing exactly that, why more people now support or agree with the response of the Marcos administration when it comes to the West Philippine Sea.
Let's go to the other side of it with what the administration is doing now in terms of strategy in dealing with issues of the West Philippine Sea. Do you have specifics on which strategies Filipinos agree and disagree on?
Yeah, that's it, precisely it. We gave them a menu of interventions the government can do. And among I already talked about the top three. One is to assert our rights. That's the first thing. No? Assert the rights through military action and through diplomacy. Third is to modernize our armed forces, improve its capability. Fourth is exactly to expand joint maritime patrols with our allies. No. Fifth is to expand the discussion about dispute in the West Philippine Sea, and not just bilaterally but multilaterally. So Filipinos have a sense, although they may seem quiet, in the discourse at the moment, but they're talking very loudly in the surveys. The everyday Filipino has an opinion, and I think that's something that apart from the actual opinion, and the trends, increasing trends of distrust against China, is the fact that Filipinos have an opinion in a time when globally citizens are apathetic. And I think that's something that's positive about what has happened. That everyday Filipinos are engaged and aware about the issue, and they have a position. And we have other surveys that have come out on the issue over the last 2 or 3 quarters, and it's been fairly consistent. There is no gray area as far as Filipinos are concerned. They support their government and the government's response in the West Philippine Sea. They disagree with the aggression being, utilized by China against our own assets, our own personnel in the West Philippine Sea, and that is why they distrust. That is why they say that China is the greatest threat for now at 76%.
But Prof, let me go back to the numbers. Kasi based dun sa survey ninyo, pinakamataas ang NCR when it comes dun sa having perception that China was the greatest threat in the country. 86% siya. And then next is Balance Luzon, before yung Visayas, and then Mindanao. And as what Sean mentioned earlier, malaki yung percentage dun sa Class D and E, na malaki yung paniniwala na threat yung China. Do we have an explanation bakit ganon yung lumabas sa survey?
Well, yun nga, let's complete that image. Mas mababa ng konti. The only number below 70% was in Class ABC. Okay? But I think Class D and E, they see this as not just a security threat, but a threat to the economy. They also look at it as a threat to our kababayans physically. When you see pictures of our fishermen, no, being harassed in the West Philippine Sea, I think it's not just become a political issue. It's become an emotional issue for many Filipinos. Of course, one can question if they actually truly understand the issue. And we know the issue is far more complex than what we see on television. But then again, they've decided to take a position on the issue when we ask them through the surveys. And for me, that's important. No? It's also important for us to inform our neighbors, our friends, observers in the area how Filipinos think. That's why surveys are important. And by the way, our findings are not very far away from other surveys that have come out with the same data, although much earlier. So it's a fairly consistent view that most Filipinos distrust China at the moment because of what's happening in the West Philippine Sea, and they think about it as the greatest threat to the Philippines at the moment, and that because of that they also have an opinion of what government should do, what it should prioritize as measures. And because government is doing the top 3 measures at the moment in some form or the other, they have shown their support for the Marcos administration, at least majority. There are still people who are undecided. It's still an amount of them who are undecided. But definitely the disagreement with the government's response is quite low now.
Okay. I was wondering lang, Professor, if you have any data points that would conversely say or show that itong distrust or mistrust sa China ay nagtra-translate into a higher trust in the United States. May ganun po ba?
Yeah, we have that data. Actually, it's the report that I gave out to the media. Yes, just to give you a sense, no, I'll just look at the data points here. I think right now, when you talk about trust in the United States, no, it's around 87%. Just to give you a sense, the trust for China is 8%, and the trust for the United States is 87%.
Okay,
For adult Filipinos. Now, you have to understand the deterioration in the trust ratings of China started in February 2022, where it was at its highest. We think it's because of the bridges now, but it started from 38, now it's down to 8. That was from February 22 to March 2024. It went down 30 points. So, it has really to do with the aggression that we're seeing in the West Philippine Sea, the intensification of conflict in that area. And Filipinos are clear about who they're supporting and their position on the issue.
Prof.
So it's not true that there's a dissonance as far as the public is concerned when it comes to the West Philippine Sea. I think there's hardly any gray area here.
Prof, gusto ko lang clarify, no? Kasi I understand China is viewed as a security threat, but the economic threat, what does that mean exactly? That Filipinos view China as an economic threat? Or that they view the
that's what the survey
response?
results are saying. 44%, nearly 50%. It's also in the report that I submitted to the media. But the proper interpretation is this, that 44% of Filipinos do not see China as a positive impact on our economy, and it's been increasing. But it's to a lesser degree, there's still room. Although the number of people who actually think that China has a positive effect on the economy it is in single digits na lang, no? I think it's around so if 44%, no, I'm sorry, if 44% disagree that China has a positive impact on economic relations, only 13% agree. So so when you look at the threat perception, people see China not just as a security threat because of the maritime tensions in the West Philippine Sea. They're now seeing it as a threat to our economy. Of course, the reality is China and the Philippines have robust economic relations, but this is how Filipinos perceive China now. We don't know if the influence is because of Pogo, because the Pogo story did just start escalating because of the Banban controversy. No, we've had controversy with Pogo for quite some time now. So people probably perceive that as one of those issues, negative impact of Philippine-China economic relations. But of course, we serious observers also know that China-Philippine relations, economic relations is robust on many other fronts.
Yes,
We're trading with them. China is an important economic partner. But it's important to note that this is how Filipinos perceive, rightly or wrongly, this is how they perceive the economic relations, the economic impact of relations with China. So 13% say it's positive, 44% say it's not, and the rest are undecided.